like we always do? Okay. Good morning, Southeast Missouri, and wherever you may be listening. This is the Retirement Playbook brought to you by Innovative Financial Solutions, where we're here with you every Saturday morning, bringing you some great information to help you retire on your terms. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Tony Shore. Good morning, Tony. How you doing?
Good morning, Brock Allspa. Great to be here with you today. I'm excited about this. This is our inaugural video episode. So, the first time we're on video, and my entire career, my entire life, I've been told I have the perfect face for radio. I've done, oh, your voice, it's good. You can do radio. That's my background. And all of a sudden, Brock comes along and says, hey, let's video this show. And I'm like, okay,
All
well,
right, so here's the deal. All right. This is our first one, and you're already complaining about
I'm
being
not.
on
I'm
video.
teasing.
I
I'm
know, I
teasing.
know,
I'm.
I
I just feel for our viewers. That's all. Uh, I mean,
know.
you're great. You look great there. I
Well,
like
listen,
that.
I'm really excited about this. This is a great tool to use because we're going to be on YouTube now.
Yes.
And so, folks, if you are listening, thank you. And also, the video viewers, thank you. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can find it all on our website and links to it. It's theinnovativeteam.com. Speaking of the website, Tony, I
Yes.
always like to talk about that. We've got a great show lined up for you today, but we want you to go to our website. Seriously, it's got a lot of great information. It's theinnovativeteam.com, theinnovativeteam.com. You can download past shows by topic. You can download our Roth conversion guide. We're always talking about
Yep.
Roths. I know, Tony, we're huge advocates of the Roth. And if you can convert some of the assets in lower tax rates and then let that compound tax free for your future, it's always something to at least look at and consider, right? And then also you can order my book. It's called The Last Paycheck: How to Build Sustainable Retirement Income and Keep Those Paychecks Coming In. That's what everybody wants to do. You can do that and get started today by ordering that book on our website. Actually, it takes you to Amazon to order that book. And
Yes.
then also, lastly, you can download the Retirement Income Toolkit just to kind of get some general information about what you should be looking for when you're getting ready to retire. So if you're within 5 years of retirement, especially folks, you've got to get these things done. You've got to contact someone to help you and guide you through, get to and then through your retirement. So give us a
That's right.
call and get a customized plan. All this information is great, right? But it's what you do with the information. If you have it and you don't do anything about it, it doesn't do you any good. You can get started by calling us today at 573 332 7855.
All
All
right.
right. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
and if people, our listeners out there, have questions, or they want to get a financial plan in place, or maybe they want to get a second opinion on where they are at with their financial plan or their retirement plan, what they're going to do for income in retirement, or figuring out when they're going to retire, they can make a no charge, no obligation consultation with you, and they can get those questions answered and get a copy of your book at no charge.
That's
You'll
correct.
give that to them if they come in, spend a little time, is all they're going to spend is time, and it's just going to help them.
And that is so true, Tony. And I do want to make this note about the book. Okay, if you do order it online, okay, we get a royalty that comes back, and we donate all of that back to local charities, specifically ones like Junior Achievement and others that try to emphasize something that's not talked about
Yeah.
anymore. Okay, or really never has been in our educational system, and that's financial awareness, making
Mm.
sure that you are making good decisions with your money and understand it at a very young age. Earlier the better, like they say, Tony, right? The earlier the
Right.
better.
The earlier,
So
the better.
so one of the things that I always like to talk about too, especially kind of a new thing here, right? We're doing the video, it's great. Um, but if you want to understand kind of who we are and what we do, because a lot of people hear Innovative Financial Solutions. Yes, we are the retirement people. We say that a lot. This show is called the Retirement Playbook. But there's a lot of other great tools on our website as well to kind of help you guide you through to understand who we are, our approach, which is a very consultative approach. We're an independent registered investment advisor, registered with the state of Missouri. So, it's the things that people are like, well, what do I need to do? What's Brock really going to do for me? We're going to build the roadmap for you folks. Okay. And it's going to start with one thing. It's going to start with Social Security planning. Once you fill out that questionnaire and we get a feel for who you are, just like if you were to go to a doctor and they say, okay, well, what's wrong with you and what's going on in your life? We're going to do the same thing. And so we have an online questionnaire. We make it very easy to do. And we'll get that information and we'll start the planning process for you if that's something that, we both agree upon that it makes sense for you. And again, Tony, going back to it the building block to a solid retirement income plan is making sure that you're maximizing those Social Security benefits. We've talked about it, right? We've talked about it at length of there's so many options. I think for a married couple, over 20,000 options. You're between the time you're eligible at age 62 all the way to 70 is the longest you can defer. So think about all of those months. That's 96 months, I believe. During that time frame, and then there's each month that you and your wife or husband or significant other can choose when to elect those benefits. So there's a lot of different ways to do that, and making sure that you maximize those benefits that you worked so hard for over your working career. Why not take the time and work with an expert that can help you determine the best opportunity for you to maximize how much you will collect over your lifetime?
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge. And obviously, you want to make sure you have enough to last your full retirement. And people are living longer and longer. Brock, as I like to say, the good news is we're living longer.
Right.
The bad news is we're living longer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, making sure that, again, that's one of the main reasons of why you want to maximize your Social Security. Also, so we take it a step further. Let's analyze your budget. What does it take for Mr. and Mrs. Client here to maintain their lifestyle?
Yeah.
Okay. Because sometimes you have to make adjustments to that because you have to, right? You don't have enough resources to continue that lifestyle. We don't want that to be the case, though. We want you to maintain your desired lifestyle, and it's our job as financial advisors to make sure that you can do that not only now, but throughout your retirement, and making sure that you don't run out of money, okay? Yeah. And so if you start with maximizing your Social Security benefits, the same would go true for someone that has a pension, Tony. If you have a pension, you have options, right? You've got life only. This is not every case, right? But most pensions work this way, where you can take a monthly income and you would take life only, or you would take life with 50% to your surviving spouse if something were to happen to you. Some options are 75, but definitely 50, 75 sometimes, and then 100, which means that your benefit would continue if you passed away to your spouse at 100% of what you were getting. So you've got to make that decision of, okay, do I want to, depending on the different amounts, obviously, and everything in retirement planning, everything's customizable, but you want to make the best decision for you and your spouse long-term on that as well. That's where we come in. We can help you do that, okay, and make sure that you maximize those benefits from your pension as well.
Yeah, and so each week on the show, Brock, I wanted to ask you, because to clarify for our listeners, each week on the show, we're going to hit different topics. If something's going on, we'll talk about inflation or how to factor inflation into your financial plan or retirement income plan to make sure you're calculating for that, and right, the benefits of working with somebody like yourself. So our listeners are going to have questions. And what is the experience you bring? I mean, why are you doing the show? What is it that you do there? How can you help our listeners? How do you help your clients? Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
That's a great question, Tony. I think a lot of times people assume things and, assume that a person they're dealing with has the experience and the expertise and the credibility that they perceive that someone would have in our positions.
Sure.
So great question. So I started in this business in 2001. Okay, and that's the first time that I passed my what we call our Series 7, and then I took a couple other tests and passed those and became a financial advisor. Actually, I started out part-time at a bank and then became the full-time financial advisor for that bank for 6 years or so. And then in 2007, Tony, I started Innovative Financial Solutions. At the time, I had a partner, and a couple years later, we decided that he wanted to move on, and so he moved on. But the point is, we started in 2007, right?
Wow.
So yeah.
And you had been doing it for another company for a while before you ventured out on your own. So you've got over 20 years of experience.
Over 20 years. Yep. Over 20 years. I know I don't look like it, right, Tony? I mean,
you must have started when you were 10.
I am 46 years old, just to put that out there. We're not going to have anybody.
You don't look
46.
a day over 36. So that you got that going for you.
Yeah. And so, it was funny because when I first started working with the investment rep at the bank that I originally started at, I just found it just fascinating, and most people, I think, feel like it's overwhelming, and it can be. There's no doubt. I can understand why, but for me, I just was so curious, and I just found it fascinating. And then helping people is something that I really, really enjoy doing. I get a lot of satisfaction of helping people, and so in 2007, again, I started Innovative Financial Solutions with the focus of retirement planning. Okay.
Right.
That is always what I've done. And so that's why we have built a library of information here that you can find on our website, by the way. And then also, the experience thing matters, Tony, right? Someone that's been in a business 5 years doesn't have the experience and knowledge of someone that's been doing it for 20 years. And it's not that person that's only been doing it for 5 years is bad. It's just that they may not have all the knowledge and, again, experience that I think is the most important aspect of all of this when you're working with someone, right?
Right.
And so I think that is a positive for us in our business, Tony, because I'm 46. I'm not 66. There is a ton of financial advisors that will be retiring in the next 5 to 10 years. Studies have shown that. There'll be a shortage. There really will be a shortage of financial advisors. Actually, there'll be a shortage of a lot of things. I was reading an article.
The majority of financial advisors I've seen out there, and I go to these conferences, right?
Sure.
And I've worked with a number of them, with a number of these different companies, and I go to all these financial advisor conferences where, there's hundreds around the country, and the majority of them are 60 and over, a lot of them. I mean, or
for sure,
at least 55 and older. So
sure.
You're right. I mean, there will be a shortage.
So that's what my point is. It's like, this is the sweet spot. Okay. And I'm not trying to brag and say, hey, everybody should work with us. I'm just saying, look, when you can work with somebody that has 20 years of experience, but yet has another 20 years to work with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Before they retire.
20 to 30. I'm going to say 35 maybe for you, but whatever.
I mean, I could retire in 10 years. I've got my own plan, Tony.
Sure.
I put it together. I could retire in 10 years at 56.
I don't love what you do too much.
I love what I do.
You're going to do it. I think you're going to do it as long as you can.
And you're right. I am. But here's the thing. The difference between someone saying, oh, well, my business is my retirement plan, and that's, I'm not saving money, basically. That's an excuse for them not saving money.
Yeah.
Which is not good, obviously.
No.
But the difference is that I'm going to work because I want to, not because I need to. And the other thing is the prospect of one or both of my sons coming into the business is very attractive to me. And so I think that will be something that a lot of my clients can even look forward to. I know I'm looking forward to it. And then by then, we'll definitely need some extra help too.
Sure.
We're getting close to that now, by the way. And so anyway, the point is that that's kind of the background of where I've been and the experience I have. I'm a chartered retirement planning counselor, CRPC. I have that designation. And so, this is where we've led to you guys and Gradient Financial Group. And who we are blessed to work with, great partners in our business to allow us to serve clients in the best way we know how.
Yeah.
And that's really important. You've got to have partners that you can not only trust, that you like, but are competent and are really good at what they do. So anyway, there you go, Tony. You asked the question. That's where that's the long the long answer.
No, that's a great answer. And so before we move on, talking about some financial items that our listeners out there need to be aware of, our viewers need to be aware of today, let's remind them, if they want to get a second opinion on where they're at financially, take a look at what they have saved for retirement. Maybe a lot of people are like my wife and I, okay, when will we be able to retire? Or what's the right amount for us? Everybody's situation is different. So you
Yes.
can sit down with them, look at where they're at, and say, okay, what are your goals? You got to get to know
Yes.
them and their goals, see where they're at financially, and say, oh, help them avoid some costly mistakes. We'll talk about some of
sure.
those, but how can they get a hold of you to set up that consultation?
Sure. Give us a call here at 573-332-7855, or look us up on the web. It's theinnovativeteam.com. That's a great way to get a hold of us. We'll, like Tony said, work on a customized plan for you. Okay. You mentioned something that I think is very, very important. When people ask the question, when can I retire and how much do I need? Like you said, it's different for everyone. But one of the most important questions that we ask on that client questionnaire that I mentioned earlier, that we can send to you in a link, and it's all done electronically, very easy to do. You can't make mistakes. That's the one thing I do like about electronic, Tony. I'm kind of an old school guy. I still use a yellow pad, but I do like the electronic version of these types of questionnaires because I can't mess it up and miss something that I should have filled out.
Sure.
But anyway, one of the most important questions that I ask on that questionnaire is, what do you spend? What does it take to maintain your lifestyle, right? From a monthly budget standpoint. Because if you have $4 million in your retirement accounts, but you spend $500,000 a year, okay, that's probably not going to work out.
No.
So my point is, it doesn't matter how much money you have. It
Right.
doesn't matter how much money you make. Well, it does a little bit, but the most important thing is making sure that you live within your budget so you can save that money at the end of the month or the beginning of the month. And so that's my point is that knowing what it takes to maintain your lifestyle is the most important thing. That's the starting spot. Then we can say, okay, well, guys, here, look, this is the deal. You don't have enough to maintain this lifestyle. Okay.
Right.
So these are the things that I would recommend that you do. Okay. So that's one scenario. Another scenario might be is that someone is older and they have to take required minimum distributions in retirement because they have these IRAs that they've had for years. They don't really, maybe they're using it a little bit, but they continue to grow. And now all of a sudden you're at required minimum age, which means you have to start taking money out of those IRA accounts. And I know that sounds like a first world problem for a lot of folks, Tony.
Yeah.
But that is something that creates a tax problem, right? Because it causes all of their other income to be taxed at a higher rate. And so the point is that is something we can plan for earlier on. Like when you're getting ready to retire, maybe we look at some Roth conversions to reduce the amount you have to take out. Maybe we look at doing some charitable planning. Maybe we look at some alternative investments to offset some of that. I mean, there's just lots of things that go into each and every situation, Tony. That's why I thought I'd bring up one, for somebody that's a little bit younger, maybe somebody that's a little bit older. And so, yeah. And that's what I love about my business. That's what I love about it, Tony. Every day is different. I don't come in my office and do something the exact same as the day before. There's always something new. There's always something different. And putting that puzzle together for each and every person is challenging. And I love a challenge, Tony.
Yeah. And what we need, what our listeners and viewers out there, whether they realize it or not, what my wife and I need is somebody who has the big picture of what that puzzle needs to look like. Because I always use the analogy, most people with their finances and their retirement plan, they're sitting there looking at 1,000-piece puzzle on the table, but they don't have, what's the most important piece of that puzzle?
The corners.
It's not the box lid. No. People say the last piece. People say the corners or the edge.
Yeah.
It's the box lid.
Yeah,
Because
the box
that's
lid.
where
There
the
we go.
big picture is at. And
Yeah,
that's where
that's
you
right.
come in. You're that box lid.
That's right.
We need Brock to be that box lid, because you're going to have the big picture. You're not going to be emotionally worried about what about this? You're saying, here's what the big picture looks like. So this is how the pieces need to fit together. And everybody's puzzle is different, right?
Everybody's puzzle is different.
Yeah.
And you know, the lid is the most important. Speaking of lids, you know, this new video thing, I just noticed that I have a really big shining spot on my forehead because I shaved my head this morning, and I'm bald, guys. And so it's
we're gonna get, you know, how now that we're on YouTube. Now that we're on YouTube, once we get famous here on YouTube and we get the millions of viewers, we'll have ads. And I assume one of our sponsors will be a hair tonic. Will be some type of
for sure.
hair club for men, or I don't know what you're going to have. I just throw that out there.
Well, and the other thing I want to clarify is that it looks like we're the same height on the TV here.
Yeah.
But or on YouTube, we're not the same height. Okay.
No, I'm much taller.
Oh, okay. Okay, sure. Yeah.
I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm not that tall of a person. So
yeah,
I purposely adjusted my camera to yours so it would look like we're the same height, because it looks better. Trust me, visually. If you see a video and one person's way down here and the other's way up at top, it's
no,
it's off-putting to me anyway.
You know, folks, I've known Tony for several years, and he's really easy to pick on. So anyway, I just love doing it. So.
Well, there's a lot of material here. I mean,
right.
There's this that's going on, and there's a lot happening here.
Yeah.
So to pick on, and you've got you're fit, you're smart, you're well dressed. So all I have is your lack of hair. That's all I've got, bro.
Yeah, that's okay. And trust me, there's more that you could pick on, but you just don't know. Anyway, folks, so this is really exciting. We're rolling this out, and for all of our audio listeners on Saturday morning, KZIM, on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast, you can download it as well. So there's lots of different ways that you can check out the show, folks, and we're really excited. In future shows, I know for sure will be more topic specific as far as maybe current events or planning topics that we've talked about. We've talked about Social Security. You know, we'll talk about our different reports that we have. We'll talk about current events, what's going on in the markets, what's going on in the bonds. I mean, right now, Tony, let's talk about that real quick to finalize this show this week. But, you know, right now is a very interesting time. I mean,
it is.
Yeah. You know, interest rates have gone up significantly in the last year or so, and it's really opened up investments that people have kind of written off in the last couple of years,
like bonds. Yeah,
and bonds are in specific areas of the bond market are kind of attractive. I mean, look. You know, you still have to look at the real rate of return, which is after taxes and after inflation, because inflation is still pretty high.
Sure.
So, but my point is that you know, the bond market has come back into relevancy. You have insurance products that have very good rates on them, whether they be a fixed annuity or a fixed index annuity with S&P 500 caps and participation rates. There's just a lot of things that have come into play that people, again, have written off in the last, 10 years, Tony? 12 years, something like that?
Yeah.
And so anyway, it's a good time. It's an interesting time. If you need help to find out what's best for you, just give us a call at Innovative Financial Solutions, 573-332-7855, or you can look us up on the web at theinnovativeteam.com.
All right. Well, Brock, great show today. Great to be on YouTube as well as all the podcast sites and live on the radio each week. Listeners, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for viewing. That does it for today's episode of the Retirement Playbook with our host, Brock Allspaw.